Okay, thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody to Canada Tug. We haven't had one in a while, but we'll try to stay on top of it and have sort of more a regular cadence. So just quickly, the agenda is Roland and Fraser and I are going to just give a brief debrief on our TC 23 experience. And then Kirk is going to jump in and do something fancy in Tableau and show you how you could have some fun with maps, but also with managing the data behind it as well, sort of. Yeah, so that's our agenda for now. And I am just going to pop over to my presentation for my top 10 favorite things about TC. So just welcome everybody. Just before I jump into this, though, I just want to welcome everybody. This is the first time we've done, or this first time I've done anything in Bevy. So welcome everybody to Bevy. So hopefully things will go pretty smoothly today. It's a pretty good platform. It seems pretty easy to use, but it is my first time, and I think Roland, your first time, and Fraser's done some other things in Bevy, but not quite a meeting. So hopefully everything will go as planned, but just give us a little, may take us a minute here, there, and everywhere just to adjust a little bit to the new platform. But welcome everybody to Bevy, and welcome everybody to the Canada Tug. So hopefully we have some great stuff for you today, and we hope that you'll enjoy. So what I'm going to do is I'm like a David Letterman kind of type of deal. If we all remember what David Letterman is, I'm going to do my top 10 favorite TC announcements, but really it's the top 10 latest features that they announced between the main keynote and the devs on stage, which we all know and love so well. So my 10th favorite new feature is improved activity logs for Tableau Cloud. And I know people probably find that a little bit boring, but I think it could be like everybody loves a good visualization. So I think if they were able to like make something useful out of the activity logs, I know that they've always been a bit behind other features, and I think it would encourage more people to like kind of go back over to Tableau Cloud and maybe progress and keep their Tableau instance a bit more up to date, because server, if you're just on server, it does tend to lag a little bit because it's such a process to update it when a new version comes out. So hopefully that will kind of bridge that gap even a little bit. They did announce this year, so this wasn't a new announcement at TC, but I think this is a really important one. They're HIPAA compliant. So I think that's a really big thing from, again, a little bit boring, but it is number 9. So, but I think it is important to acknowledge that the security of Tableau has come a long way, and they're getting some accreditation for it now, and I think that'll mean a lot. Well, it certainly means a lot for some of us for us that work in Canada to have our own Tableau cloud instance in Canada now too. So we don't have to like feel that our data is being sent somewhere in the US. But the HIPAA compliance is, not an easy thing to get. So, it does give a level of security that Tableau does have that sort of built into it. So they did it, and like I said, I do encourage you to watch the full version of the main keynote and the devs on stage, because there's a lot of good stuff in there, and they do have demos in there. So he did demo at the end of devs on stage, adding Tableau to web meetings. So instead of what I'm doing now, presenting a slide deck, and you can't see my face, they added Tableau to web meetings, and you can kind of use your fingers on the screen to like add bar charts and notate them and things like that. So it was pretty futuristic. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon, but if they could accomplish it, it would be really something. It's pretty cool. Tableau Pulse is very interesting, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because Roland's going to dig a bit deeper into that. So I won't steal his thunder on that, but it's also very, a little bit futuristic. I don't think it's going to come out the near future, but it's pretty amazing, and I think a lot of people are looking for something like that. So I think it will answer a lot of requirements that people are looking for. Address geocoding native in Tableau. So we're all big fans of mapping in Tableau, and the ability for Tableau to map cities and states, airports, things like that natively just by using the name is pretty amazing. If they could do that with addresses, I think would be fantastic. So again, I don't know if this is coming soon. They don't give a lot of dates on these sometimes in the presentations. Certainly, globally, addresses are very different, which I discovered when I was making an F1 viz, and the F1 races go all over the world, and some of the other countries have very different addresses, and they're not standardized in any way. So I think this is a bit bigger of a project than maybe it seems. It's definitely bigger than just mapping a city or an airport for sure, but it would be again very revolutionary. So 5, sorting and filtering on Tableau Public. So something I often do before I make a visualization is when I start, I kind of look up my topic on Tableau Public and to get ideas. And I know when one of the Toronto tugs, we had somebody who had done her resume and done her resume over, and she had gone to Tableau Public. That's where I got the inspiration to do this. But she had gone to Tableau Public and looked at all the different ways people have done their resume. She found some really interesting tips, and so I've often done that as well after that session. And I think it's like, obviously there's so many visualizations on Tableau Public. It does help if they have some way to sort of pare it down so that you can focus your interest, and you can. I'm sure there'll be more to come on that, but so far you can filter it down to like ones that can be downloaded and search by topic, and then there's different ways you can sort it, like by relevance or if they've just been posted and things like that. So I think that's a big improvement for consuming the content on Tableau Public, especially since there's just so much more content there than there used to be. It's lovely to be able to access that. Editing alt text in the data guide. So the alt text has been in the data guide, but now we have the ability to go in and update it and sort of add to it and make it a bit more fulsome. So obviously, Tableau is a very visual product, but there are people that we work with that have perhaps low vision or need that alt text maybe to add some context to the visualization. So the ability to add to that and improve it so that it's more accessible for everybody, I think, is a very important step. New chart types. So these 2 new chart types are available on Tableau Public until June 30th. So I encourage everybody to, just go on to Tableau Public and play around with them. Again, they did demo the Sankey one at the conference, but they're not going to release them in desktop just yet. They're just going to, this was just a trial, so people could try it out and provide feedback. But obviously they will take that feedback and use that to develop it in Tableau Desktop and make it better. So I encourage everybody to, test it out before the 30th and give some feedback if you can. But obviously Sankey, if anybody's ever tried to create a Sankey chart or a radial chart in Tableau, there's a lot of math involved in that. Even if you use a template from like the Flirtwich twins or something, there's still a lot of comings and goings with it. So if they could make it just a new chart, it would be amazing. Set better start row and Tableau prep. I use a lot of data from StatsCan, and sometimes you can download the database view. but sometimes you can't. So the ability to pick where I want, I also download financial data from my broker too, and the ability to pick where the header is and in Tableau Prep is amazing for me, because right now I'm basically renaming columns when I bring in the data. So I mean, it's just a bit finicky. And if I bring in new data on top of it and over the old data, like kind of have to adjust it again, like it's going to be pretty revolutionary for me. The meatball. So if everybody remembers the noodle, the meatball is just going to be sort of the next thing on top of that, just to be able to do many-to-many connections and provide us more flexibility when we're joining and blending our data. So the noodle I thought was like amazing. So it basically in most cases took away the need to do blending, which is just so slow and such a performance problem. So the meatball promises to take that to the next level. So I'll be pretty keen to see that come into the product, and it'll just make the data, bringing in more data to augment our visualizations just that much easier, and just it will definitely add to our ability to consume the data and in meaningful ways. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that's obviously why that comes in at number one, just because I think the noodle was so revolutionary as far as data prep and manipulation, that I think the meatball will take it just that extra mile. So I did put some links in here about where these came from, so you can use these links. The devs on stage is actually just at the end of the main keynote, but if you just wanted to see the devs on stage, it's a lot of information, quick hitters, in just 20 minutes. But if you want to watch those in full, I would definitely encourage you to. If you didn't go to conference, that you should definitely at least watch those two, because I just think that Tableau at this conference was back to its old innovative self. They were definitely more interested in what the community had to say, and they have since the Salesforce takeover, I think everybody in the communities felt a little bit unsure about how it was going to go, but I think they're evolving and listening, and it's definitely was a different tone at this conference. So I'm really happy and pretty excited about the future for Tableau. So I think a lot of that is in the main keynote, so I would encourage people to take that in if they haven't already. So another couple of things I had, these are just my notes from TC. If you guys didn't have a chance to go, or if you want to check them out, and if you didn't, or if you went and you didn't have a chance to get to these, or they were full, the Fleur-Dodge twins have another great hack called synchronized scrolling. They did a blog post on it, and they've done it at a couple of different tugs too. So I'm sure you can catch a video of it if you wanted to see it in action, or you can follow along in the blog. It's pretty well detailed there. Also, I've been trying to get into Einstein Analytics for some time, and I keep going to Trailblazer, and I've been through a lot of the trails on Einstein Analytics. I still can't get my head around it. So this is a really good blog on how to use Superstore data to do some Einstein discovery. So I thought you should check that out if you're interested. A big pump up about Canada this year at TC23. Dennis and Adrian won some Vizzies, and Dennis won the Kelly Martin Best Designer Award, who of course is named after Kelly Martin, who was the only Canadian Tableau Zen master or visionary, and until just recently, when we've had some Chimdy's now a visionary. So that's a pretty monumental award. And Adrian is so involved in the community, and he is always in the forums helping people answer questions. So he was recognized for that as well. So just wanted to pump up Canada a little bit. We're really coming together, and I want to encourage everybody that if you haven't gotten involved, that there's always a good time to start. It doesn't matter what stage you're at, but the community is really welcoming and helpful. And I think, there's always opportunities. If it seems like we're, so far away because we're here instead of in the US, but there's always opportunities to get involved, and everybody's happy to welcome us. As well, this is not a Canada related one, but Michelle Freeman and Nicole Klassen do Viz feedback office hours. So if you're working on a Viz, if you're working on a Viz for a competition or for a project, or and it's public data, you can fill out this Google form and book a slot with them, and they'll give you some time to make suggestions on how to make it better, or whatever you may want. They'll set aside some time to look it over with you. And just lastly, TC24 is in San Diego. So for those of us who don't like Vegas, yay. So looking forward to seeing you all next year in person in Vegas, if not before. And that's it for me. So I'll stop sharing.
All right, so I guess it's my turn.
Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Roland.
Alrighty.
I guess I didn't introduce myself, but I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. Hopefully everybody knows who we are.
So Candy Monroe, you're from Paintwood Data and a Tableau whiz person, I call you, because you know a lot about it, a lot about the tool, and you're a great supporter of the community, and very helpful for us here in the Toronto Tug.
Thanks, Fraser.
Thanks, Roland. Again, Fraser. That's twice today.
Fraser. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I'm calling you Fraser, and I'll probably call Fraser Roland. But anyway,
poor
later on, we'll get to that.
So Candy's based out of Nova Scotia, close to Halifax, I guess, just south of it, and you recently been displaced from the fires.
Yes.
So you're back at home now.
Back, thankfully, with no harm done. So very blessed that way, for sure.
Well, good. It's good that you're back home.
Yes.
So I call this reflections, right? So I'll start with, it's been a few years since I've been to a conference in person with Tableau. So I was pretty excited to be involved and get back to meeting some of the friends that I've gained over the last few years, because most of those relationships have been virtual. So they've been people on Twitter, or following through blogs, and we invited quite a few people over the last couple of years to speak at our webinars, and I've never actually met them in person, and this was an opportunity to really get to meet them. Although it's really hard to find someone at a conference. If I were to put into words this, it's really hard to actually put into the size of this conference. There really are thousands of people there, and they attend from all over the world. And by the way, I think it was announced that Canada was the second most represented country outside of the States this year. Regardless, though, I was determined to really find the people that I've met over the years, as well as not be too overwhelmed and run like a maniac from session to session. There's sessions that start every morning right after breakfast at 9, and they end at 6. Those are really long days, and I made a very good decision, I think, where I wasn't going to go to every single session, but I was really going to focus on very specific ones, and that worked out well because I wasn't completely exhausted by the time the event was over. So day one was Tuesday morning, and it really started for me with a stadium event where we had all these data enthusiasts and Tableau enthusiasts really, and we got to hear what some of the concepts that were going to be shared over the next little while with Tableau. So specifically, one thing that really got me interested was Tableau GPT, a generative AI interface. So, but central to that is Tableau Pulse. They teased us with this, and I say they teased us with this because it's not actually going to be available until spring of 2024. But this is something that I can really see being an effective tool in companies where you might have product or business owners who really have specific metrics and measures, and they really want to follow them on a daily or weekly or perhaps even hourly basis. So they gave a demo, and it was quite slick. And I saw another demo this morning, actually. And I really think it can save a lot of users a lot of digging and a lot of filtering on multiple dashboards, and just to be able to find out what's happening with the deltas. So, what is Pulse? Exactly what it is it's a business user subscribes to metrics, and they can have either one or two or however many they really want to follow. And during the subscription process, they can set thresholds to metrics deltas, and they can even allow Tableau, like that AI platform, to figure out the deltas for them. So depending on the threshold, you get alerts, and they get delivered to you in a dashboard. And those dashboards are interactive, and they're sent to your emails. When they present it, they often show in their demos it being in Slack. Uh, I did hear a question of whether it was going to be available for Teams. I know it's a thought, but I don't think that's on the radar just yet. So, anyways, those alerts are part of a personal dashboard that you get, and it'll provide a narrative when these alerts come up, and maybe something like, new customers are up 50% today, with the largest increase in Calgary. And it would also include a little visualization underneath that narrative with the different regions and their growth. And of course, Calgary would be at the top in this case. But within that tool and within that dashboard, you have the ability to click on either predetermined questions or ask some natural language questions in your own words into that interface. So maybe, for example, what you want to say is, well, what product did these new customers buy? And then again, Pulse would search the data and pull out an answer for you. Again, in the demos, it's really quick. I don't know if that's in reality yet, though, but it is based in the cloud, so I think the response time would be really fast. So again, it pulls the data out and gives you another visualization, gives you a narrative. Oh, these customers bought XYZ product, and then the second most was YYZ. So I mean, it's interesting that you get all that, and the nice part about it is that you get to your answers fairly quickly, without having to go in, ask other people for dashboards, or go into multiple dashboards within your organization. Because a lot of organizations, much like Freedom here in Toronto, we have a lot of dashboards. And sometimes if you want to get an answer, you have to go from one dashboard to another, because we just can't build all these massive dashboards with every single filter involved there. So I think it has the potential to save lots of clicking and lots of filtering. And I think that's the new real sexy thing that they're producing, and it's going to be coming out in 2024. But some of my other highlights from the conference, they were more on the interactions that I had with people. And I talked a lot about the communities with others who run communities, as well as listening to sessions where I revisit some of the basics, just for dashboard design. So here at Freedom, I can tell you that we spent a lot of time on presentations and dashboards. Here I was really determined to come back with more ideas and some lessons learned. My team could probably tell you if I did or didn't. But one of the sessions that really stood out for me, again, pretty basic stuff, was this. It was called Maximizing Your Bands for Better Business Dashboards. And that presentation, I don't think it's on Salesforce Plus, but it was an excellent presentation where the focus was really on bands. For those of you who don't know what bands are, they're also known as big ass numbers. So again, big ass numbers are really effective ways of sharing and bringing attention to results that you want to highlight. So I'm a huge fan of them. Almost all our dashboards have them that we produce here. So it's good to see other examples of them. As well, it showed you can also have too many bands on one page. So if you had 20 on one page, that wouldn't be good, but 4 to 5 to 7 are normally pretty good across the top of the page. Also went to a data modeling presentation. That was a bit more basic, but it was still engaging for me as I learned, and I relearned some of the things that I forgot in the past. There was also one on Tableau tricks and tips. Now that one was really hard to get into, and I watched from the side stage, quite honestly, and I couldn't get headphones to it, but I was listening intently on what they were saying. Some went over my head. But what's good to know is that several of these presentations are available online with Salesforce Plus. So if you haven't already, and I know Candy's already mentioned it, set up an account with Salesforce Plus where you get to review some of the presentations. I know for me, it was good to go back and re-listen to a couple of them that I did. And that's my reflections on TC23. Back to you, Candy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Fraser has a special surprise for us. Oh, I got it right, Roland. I got it right.
Yay.
I get everybody's name right now. But I thought before Fraser did a special surprise, I would ask if anybody had any questions about TC or did it, like show, like people can like,
Q&A.
I think you can like use icons in the chat if you went to TC. So if you want to use maybe a thumbs up if you went to a TC, or maybe a thumbs down if you couldn't make it.
I won't put the thumbs up, but I won't.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put a thumbs up too for mine.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's some people that were, so some people weren't able to make it. So yeah, for sure, I would definitely recommend, like Fraser, or like what?
Again.
Like Roland said, you should go on to Salesforce Plus, and there are some great sessions on there. The Fleur-Ledge twins session is on there for sure. Mm-hmm. And that session, Roland, that you mentioned about the tips was on there, because I'm going to go back and watch that one too for sure.
Because and data modeling is there too.
And data modeling is there too. Yep. Yeah. And the one actually that I mentioned about Einstein Analytics actually is there, which I was kind of surprised about that. So, yeah, there's lots of great stuff there. I would encourage people to go on and check out some sessions and check out some of the videos, because some of the great ones are there. So in particular, I thought the main keynote was key, because it just it kind of set the tone for the conference, and I think the tone was much different, so it was very exciting for sure. Okay, so Fraser, right. Take it away. We're ready for your surprise.
Let's try this. All right, you can see my screen?
We can.
Okay, perfect. And you can hear me, so we're all good. So hi, I'm Fraser. I'm a Tableau ambassador. I lead the Edmonton Tableau user group. During the day, I work for Onware. We are a consulting firm that works mostly with architecture, engineering, construction type clients, doing a lot of Tableau, and sometimes we have to do Power BI as well. But so for me, I was lucky enough, this is my 9th Tableau conference this year. So I've been lucky enough to go to 9 in a row. 7 of those have been in person, and then the 2 virtual ones during COVID. So we're going to do a Kahoot. That's the big surprise. Yay. But before we get to Kahoot, I want to make sure that I give you guys all the answers. Candy has given you some of the answers. Roland has given you some of the answers. I'm just going to go through very quickly a few slides just to make sure that you guys have all the information you need to be able to win the Kahoot. So number 1 for me is the keynotes. So prior to Tableau Conference, right before Tableau Conference started, Ryan Ate was announced as the new president and CEO of Tableau. And then kind of subsequent to the conference happening, there was a bit of a shuffle. So Francois changed from chief product officer to chief customer officer. And we have a new chief product officer that's come to Tableau. One of the interesting things with the keynotes this year is a little bit different format. Instead of being a big stage at the end of the keynote room, it's more of a circle, and they're in the center of the room. And so a lot of the talk, you can kind of see my little picture there, Francois. It's down walking around the audience. It feels a lot more interactive that way. So it was really interesting to see a little bit different keynote format this year. Second one was community. So there are just a ton of different community themed things happening at Tableau Conference. There's user groups, there's community-led sessions. There's just a ton of different things happening that include the community. So it's not just a Salesforce Tableau only event. There's lots of inclusion of the different people in the community. Third one, I thought this was really cool. We have customers that they go on their phones and they look at one thing every day. Tableau Pulse, I think, is kind of the next level of that. Metrics have been around for a while. I don't think a lot of people have engaged with it too much, but I'm looking forward to playing with Tableau Pulse because I think that will provide just like next level version of that, and especially for like executives that kind of go in and look at one thing every day, every Saturday. They're checking their phone first thing in the morning to see how the week ended. Pulse will let them do that a lot easier. Next one, Iron Viz. So this year again we had Iron Viz. It's back. We had 3 really great finalists. Some really good dashboards were produced. The winner is Paul Ross. The interesting thing is that Paul, I think they said that he's like only got about a year experience with Tableau. So it's super impressive that he was able to like participate and do the Iron Viz. I actually helped do some of the qualifier round judging for Iron Viz, and you can kind of see like, don't be scared to do it. Submit your stuff to the qualifying rounds and see how far you can go, because you don't have to be a #1 Tableau person to be able to participate and even win the Iron Viz. So that was really great to watch that. One of the features that I thought that was really interesting is the data cloud. So the data cloud is kind of Salesforce's data lake, data warehouse type solution that they're starting to offer. They've said that this is actually built with Tableau hyper technology powering it in the back end. I think the really interesting thing here is for people that are really heavy on the Salesforce platform, the data cloud is a way that you'll be able to get real-time information out of Salesforce into Tableau. So I'm hoping that we'll find a customer at some point where I get to kind of play around with this and work with it, because it sounds like it's a little bit expensive if you just want to do it on your own. So anyway, that's data cloud seems quite exciting actually. I think excuse me, I think Candy mentioned Tableau gestures. So this is a little, you can see the little animation there of how that works. This is really interesting. And I think I signed up to participate in the beta when it gets more publicly released. But I'll be interested to try it and see how smooth or not it is relative to the data or to the demo that we saw at the conference. Another big thing for me is Data Village. So kind of when you're not participating in sessions, Data Village is a cool place to go and hang out. Last year when the conference came back post-COVID, it was a little bit smaller Data Village. This year it's kind of back to full size. It has like all the sponsors and the vendors there as well, if you want to pick up a bunch of swag. There was a couple interesting like games and activities. One of the ones that I did, I actually got to win a Tableau backpack at a Wheel of Fortune style game show. So they had like 3, people just could go up and compete against each other to win the prize. It was really well executed and well done. So that was lots of fun. Closer to the end, the last day of the conference, they had a session called True to the Core. This is something that actually comes from Salesforce, but what it is an open mic Q&A session. So people from the audience can just line up and ask questions from the senior leadership team. So it was about an hour and a bit type session. It was really packed. There were tons of people in there, and it was not scripted. It was just people asking questions and getting responses back. So that was really great to see that. 2 more left. At the end of the conference that same day, I think they offered it maybe throughout. There were a couple different sessions, but you can do certification exams at the conference. So my data analyst expired about a year, maybe 2 years ago. And so I wanted to kind of go and do the exam again. The nice thing about doing it at the conference is that it's a dedicated environment. It's a little bit lower cost. I didn't do a lot of studying ahead of time. That's probably not the best idea. You should probably prepare. The exam has actually changed a little bit from 2 years ago if you did it previously. Now it's mostly multiple choice questions, but there still is a hands-on component with Tableau Desktop. So when the exam finished, there was about an hour of nail biting before I found out that I actually did pass the exam. So that was a nice way to wrap up the conference. You can relax after the week and have accomplished a lot. Last thing, Tableau conference next year. We're all looking forward to getting away from Vegas and visiting another city. So it's going to be in San Diego. There's a sign up on the website right now. If you want to go and be notified when more information is available, you can search it and there's a sign up form for that. So that's my quick top 10. We're going to do a Kahoot. So the 3 finalists are all going to get our No Excel t-shirt that we made. I also have some really cool swag. So one is a Tableau Public laptop case and mousepad. That'll be first place. Second place will get a Tableau mug. And third place will get a notebook. So after the Kahoot finishes, we'll see how you guys do. And then the winners can just send me a message and we'll arrange to get you your prizes mailed out. So let's switch over to that now. I'll make it full screen. I don't know if the audio will come through or not. Head to kahoot.ie and you will be able to join the game. So we'll give you a few minutes to get connected on here. And like I said, you should have the answers to all the questions after the 3 of us talking. So it's going to be a tough Kahoot. If you haven't played Kahoot before, the way it works is the first person to answer correctly is going to have the most points. So if you don't know the answer to the question, just pick a random guess quickly, and you may score some points based on that. We have 23 people in the webinar and 13 joined, so I'll give it 30 more seconds for you guys to join, and then we'll start it off. I'd say Candy, Roland, and Kirk, you guys all should be able to participate because you don't know the questions or the answers that I put in here. So I won't disqualify you. Okay, 5 seconds. You can still join afterwards if you couldn't get your phone out fast enough, but we'll get started. So the first question is a quiz question. Who is the new CEO of Tableau? And I made it easy. You only have to pick from 3, not 4. Got everybody? All right. The answer is Ryan Ate. That's correct. So Ryan also has been with Salesforce for a while. So he seems like he will be a good CEO. He's definitely speaking to us like Candy had said at the keynote, and he seems to be in tune with the community a little bit more than what we've seen previously in the past little bit. So let's see who is on the leaderboard. Kirk is number 1. All right. Next question is another quiz. What is the hashtag for the Tableau community? This picture is not my picture. This was somebody else's picture I found online. I won't take credit for it, but they did have this, cool hashtag data fam inside the Tableau data village. Okay, Kirk's still on the lead. We have some changes. Let's keep going. 3 is a true or false. Tableau Pulse brings analytics to life for everyone. Got everybody? I think so. Let's just skip ahead. All right. That was a pretty softball question. 14 right. Good job. Let's see. Okay, Kirk's been dethroned. DK now in the lead. Question 4. Who was the winner of Iron Viz? All right. That's correct. Paul, it was, like I said, it was a really good Iron Viz this year. I thought we were sitting with a group of people, and we all did not agree on who the winner should be. So that means they were all like really good entries. DK still in the lead. All right. Halfway there. Question 5. This is a multi-select. So you can pick multiple answers. What are the benefits of the data cloud? It's a little bit more difficult. So all 4 of them are correct. So if you picked all 4, you would have got the most points on this this question. Okay, DK still in the lead. Go into question number 6. What's the name of the live interactive vizzes over webcam video? Tableau gestures. Yeah, perfect. All right, we continue on. Question 7. Did I actually say this? I think I did. Data Village featured a game show modeled after which TV game show? I couldn't find any pictures of it, unfortunately. I didn't take a picture of myself. So Wheel of Fortune is correct. And the backpack that they gave as a prize is apparently something that's not even available in the Tableau store. So it was a pretty cool prize that they had for that. Okay, DK still in the lead. Question 8 is a true or false. True to the Core is a new session that allows the audience to ask questions directed at the executive team. One more person. Yes, it's true. True to the Core is the name, and a lot of people are really looking forward to coming to seeing it again next year. I'm sure lots of people will actually be coming with more questions to ask. All right, we're getting close to the end. Question 9. Certification exams are entirely multiple choice. False is the correct answer. So there are some hands-on components. It's a little bit different than the previous exam. If you did that one, I mentioned in the previous exam, you would do some work with Tableau Desktop to come up with a solution and then answer the multiple choice question. And this one, it's a bit more objective now. So you'll use Tableau Desktop to make a like a view, and then save that, and then somebody actually goes and reviews that view that you created as part of your marking for the exam. So it's an interesting, little bit different way than the previous exams. Oh, DK has been dethroned. All right, we are in the last question here. Where is the next Tableau conference? Wow, that was quick. San Diego is the answer. We had 2 people got it incorrect, so let's see who the winner is. Third place is Kirk. You had the leaderboard for a while, but DK as well. And the winner is Maddie T. Congratulations. So please send me a direct message with your email address, and we will arrange to get your prize sent to you in the mail there. All right.
I couldn't bring myself to vote for magical experiences.
I guess, should I introduce you? I didn't introduce anybody else, okay. But you're okay? You can introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Fraser. That was awesome, by the way.
It's good.
It was a lot of fun
Yeah,
to
that
do
was
that.
cool. Yeah, I love it.
Congrats to DK and Maddie. So we're actually scheduled to go, I think, until quarter after. Is that right? So I know some people might have to drop at the top, but we're recording. So I'm Kirk Monroe. I presented, I guess, on this a few times before. I can start to share my screen. Candy said fun with maps. I wouldn't want to confuse that with the brilliant work Professor Dennis Cowes on the phone does, for sure. I think what I'm going to do more, first off, a little bit of self-promotion. I'm half the founding team of Paint with Data, which is a Tableau consultancy. We help companies up their game kind of through Tableau architecture, training, mentoring, making things work faster with a better visual impact. And I wrote a book on data modeling with Tableau that came out about 6 months ago. Normally I've been talking about data modeling, but today I'm going to talk a little bit about data modeling. And although it is fun with maps, what it really is my favorite part about Tableau, having been using it for years now, is not the creation of dashboards per se, but it's using Tableau as an analytical tool. And where Tableau's really come like far in the last 2 to 3 years is what it can do in the area of geospatial analysis. So I think that geospatial analysis is being big because products like the Esri suite of products is incredibly expensive. So it ends up getting used by real experts. But much like Tableau Prep brought Tableau being able to build Tableau models to people, who are already creators, there's an awful lot of geospatial stuff you can do in Tableau now. So I wanted to show that. I want to start with the blank canvas, which is Tableau literally, and give you a use case. So our use case today is going to be, imagine we were building beyond just a regular dashboard, more of an analytical, almost an analytical application to allow people to select Airbnbs who are specifically in Toronto. It's easier to get data in Toronto. Who want to pick close to a subway stop. So as soon as I went subway stop, it was Toronto or Montreal anyway. So because they want to take advantage of public transport, they don't want to rent a car for $800 for 3 days, which seems to be the going rate these days. So how would we go about doing this if we wanted to bring together data to help people pick that? So the first thing I did is I went out and found, some data that someone put together on the lat longs of Toronto subway stops. So they broke down each of the lines independently. I could pick any one of these. Let's pick the Young line. I'm going to bring this in. And when I bring this into Tableau, you'll see that I've got lat longs and I've got subway, the name of the subway location. But what I don't have is any kind of field headers. So sometimes with a CSV or Excel file, you could use data interpreter, but Tableau is not going to be able to do anything with this one because there's no headers in the file, which is kind of weird. Normally people put headers in. But in any case, it's pretty easy and cool to show how quickly Tableau can work with this kind of data, because I know that the F1 is the latitude number first, and it's followed by the longitude. And if you double click on latitude before longitude, what you get is you're going to get a dot, which is the average. It'll plot it. And then this is the name of the subway station. So we need to put this somewhere in the viz, like for detail, for it to be able to blow out. So now we can see that subway line. Anyone who knows Toronto, that's the, I guess, the orange line, the yellow line. Anyway, the young University Spadina line that goes out to Vaughan now. Should be Downsview. Oh, this is an old. This actually goes out further now. I just noticed that now. Anyway, I'm going to go with a background map. Again, Dennis is the expert on how to make these things look great. I'm just trying to bring in enough here with the map so that it makes sense. That thing is way too bright for me, but I do like having the background layers so we know where the streets are. Maybe we want to wash this thing out 75%. Does that look good? Maybe anyway, we'll wash it out 50% for now. But again, we'd want to wash it out a little bit. It just takes up too much room. But we're doing more about analysis than formatting today. So the next thing is, you notice I had three other files in there. One thing Tableau makes pretty easy is I can just convert to union, and if I do a wildcard union and all the files are in the same location, Tableau will bring them in without me doing anything else. So as soon as I do that, there's all our lines. And you'll see it automatically creates a path. So if we wanted to label each one of those or color each one of those, I could do that. And you'll see there's the 4 different Toronto subway lines based on its path. I'm not going to waste that color because we're going to use color for different things here. But now that I have this, I can quickly rename these. And it was important to do in this order, but this is stop name. And then this is going to be our latitude, and which I almost always spell wrong. And this one is going to be our longitude. So, but this doesn't solve any kind of an analytical problem for us, so that was kind of cool. What we want to do is we want to take Airbnb data, remember, and we want to take that Airbnb data and combine it. But how would we do that? If we go back and look at our data source, now we have this path, which is just the file name, and we have a stop, longitude, and latitude. How are we supposed to bring in Airbnb data? Because Airbnb data doesn't have a stop in it, right? But it does have longitude and latitude in it. However, there's no Airbnb sitting on top of a subway stop, at least hopefully not. You never know in Toronto, maybe, but there really shouldn't be, right? So what we need to do is we need to do a geospatial join. So we're going to open this up. This does not work with relationships. I talk about this in my book. There's only about 3 things where you really have to use joins over relationships. This would be one of them. So I already downloaded from inside Airbnb, which provides these for free. They kind of scrape it. If I come back up to my desktop, I've got Toronto Airbnb listings. Now, how do I join them? Again, I said we need a geospatial join. So how do we do that? So I need to create a join calculation on both sides. And what I can do is I can use this make point, which is a really good feature to use anyway if you're working with maps, which I'll show you in a minute. Make point gives you a single field that combines the latitude and longitude into a single field, so you don't have to drag them both onto your viz. This is still just one point. So what I actually want to do is I want to create a buffer around it. A buffer is another geospatial calculation type. And I want to say, let's say that we're going to want to grab Airbnb within, we want to grab Airbnbs within, oops, no, it's going to be wide, 1,000 meters. So we're going to want to say if it's inside the buffer of a kilometer around an Airbnb, we want to bring it in, or in this case, around a subway stop. So that's the one on that side. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Again, so this time I'm going to do the make point, and then it's latitude and longitude. And then outside that, again, I want 1,000 meters. So as long as it's inside 1,000 meters, you're going to see that this is still failing. Why is it failing? It's because we need to use this special geospatial join type, which is intersects. So now imagine 1,000 meters, a kilometer, drawn around everything in this map. And as long as something falls inside it, it's going to bring it in. So if we come over here, nothing's going to change at first, obviously. But I want to show you how, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use make point from the scratch to bring this in, just to show you how make point works. So I'm going to create a calculator field called subway stop location, and a subway stop location is a make point of the lat and long. The one comes from the second data source, so that was the Airbnb one I did different. You'll notice if I bring subway stop location in now, I just have to click on this, and I'm going to get the exact same, almost the exact same viz I had before, because now it brings them all in. But you'll notice a little thing is I only get one mark down here. It's fine if you want to draw something like this, but we're going to want to get to, we're going to want to be able to interact at a lower level of detail than this. So we need something at the row level to bring on to really make this work. So everyone uniquely has a stop name. So if I bring stop name to detail, you'll see this, the marks here are it's going to look the exact same, but the marks are going to jump up to 71 marks because there's 71 subway stops at the time of this person created. Again, the line's been extended a little bit. And I want to do the same thing for the Airbnb. By the way, I could have brought, if I was just doing a map to show how close things were visually, I could have brought them in as 2 completely different data sources, but then I couldn't really do calculations on them because you wouldn't have any good way, you wouldn't have any realistic way and nor would I recommend doing a blend anyway. So you really have to join them if you want to do analysis on them, as opposed to just visualize them. So I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to do, this time I'm going to do Airbnb location, and it is make point of latitude 1 and longitude 1. So same kind of idea. Now I can drag this on as a map layer. And a map layer is like an advanced marks card. If people haven't seen it, you can do a lot more around it. And when I bring this on, obviously we're going to see that our subway stops are hidden, right? If I go like that, it doesn't like that sometimes, just a sec. If I go like that dropped it too far. This is just probably me not being, there we go. I got the little thing come out. And then if we come to our subway stop locations, and I'm going to make these a square just so they're different. And I'm going to color them orange just so they pop. And I'm going to put a little, again, I'm not going to get too much into formatting today just because that would be another whole presentation that Dennis would be better equipped to give. So here are our subway stops sitting on top. Again, we could do lots to pretty this up, but for now, I'm just showing you the analysis part of this and some of the things we can do. In terms of that join, if you want to see how it worked, let's say that you could force a pretty cool join in here. If you said, well, Kirk, people want to be, maybe the people want to be within half a kilometer, and we might as well filter that data out before we get even in here. What we could do is we could come in and edit our join calculation and say 500 meters. And then I could come over to this side and say, edit my join calculation and make it 500 meters. Going too fast for Tableau. There's a lot going on. You can imagine the calculations behind the scene are pretty robust for this. You're going to see a whole lot less Airbnbs here now because they now have to be within half a kilometer of a stop. So you see they follow the subway line really closely now. Or you could say, hey, I'm going to control this with calculations inside Tableau anyway. And here's one of the also very rare cases you might want to use a full outer join. And then if we pick full outer join, and we go back to the sheet, give Tableau a second, and I go back to the sheet. Now we're going to get every Airbnb in Toronto. So we didn't lose any in this case, but we still have the, we still have the ability to do calculations between them. I'm just going to come back quickly and go inner, and I'm going to make them 1.5 kilometers just for fun, which we'll see in a second why. So anyway, this is, to this point, what we've done geospatially mostly is just bring this in, but I want to really help people kind of go the next step in picking one, right? And again, be more of an analytical application than just a visualization of this stuff. So how would we do that? So what we might want to do, first off, we would want to give them all kinds of filters, right? Like what neighborhood they're in, how many bathrooms it has, what the price is, etc. I pulled intentionally a very small, the smaller of the two Airbnb listings for Toronto from that site on purpose because I just didn't, want to get into that too deep. So we'll just do a couple of quick ones though. So I'm going to come down here, and we definitely are going to want to know the neighborhood. So I'm going to just quickly show this filter, and then I'm also going to put room type because room type super matters obviously. So I'm going to show this filter as well. And now what we can do is let's put this on the dashboard. So I'm going to put this on the dashboard, and I'm going to make it a bit wider and just a little bit taller. And then I'm going to make these a single value drop down, apply button, and then multi-value drop down. And then I hate the data ink these things take up by default. I just can't help myself. So I'm going to go like that. And then I'm going to make this also a multi-value drop down. So now we have, that was kind of weird. Now we have neighborhood and room type. So I want to zoom in just because there's way too much going on at this level, and people would probably pick neighborhoods anyway, or again, amenities or whatever it might be. But I'm going to click that off, and I'm going to pick Hyde Park, Swansea, Hyde Park North. We lived for a couple of years near Runnymede Station back in the day, and then maybe Kingsway or something, Kingsway South. So this will zoom us in now. The map's also smart enough, you'll notice when it's filtered, that it zooms in now. So say people were at this area, all they have on this is not much. We haven't given them any detail yet. We could drag price to detail, but maybe we want them to click on one of these subway stations and see how many Airbnb fit their criteria. So how could we do that? Like, is Tableau smart enough to be able to do that? So let's go back to our sheet. And what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let them set how far is important to them. So I'm going to create a parameter that says acceptable distance in meters. Again, we could worry about formatting more. This is going to be an integer, and we're going to allow them to put in everything between, say, 250 meters if they really don't want to walk, up to 1.5 kilometers, right? Which is as long as they could go anyway. Then what I need is, I want to use a parameter action, so when they click on something, that we can give them more information than that. So one of the things I want them to be able to click on the subway stop. So again, well, we'd come down to stop name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a parameter called, well, I'll leave it stop name parameter, that's fine. And then what I want to do is, if the stop name parameter is equal to the parameter, then I want to draw a circle around it the size of the meters as a starting point, right? So again, we used a buffer for geospatial. Now we're going to use buffer here as well. So what we're going to do is, we're going to say, so this will be selected subway station. And then what the selected subway station is, that if the subway stop location, well, what works a little better for my head if I go the other way, if the stop name, whichever way, doesn't matter, if the stop name parameter equals the subway stop location, no, sorry, stop name parameter is I built that on the stop name, didn't I? If that equals the stop name, then give me the subway stop location n. So basically this means, if the parameter equals the stop name, then I want that make point that we had, so we can get that point on a map, right? And then what I want is, I want to create a calculated field, which is a buffered subway stop. Again, we could call it whatever we want it, but this is going to be a buffer of our selected subway location, and it's going to be the acceptable distance in meters. So basically, when the user fills in these two, so they fill in these two, the stop name parameter and the acceptable distance, then what we're going to do is, we're going to draw a circle around it. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to say buffered subway stop location. I'm going to add yet another maps layer. We'll be okay with that one on top. And if I did this right, this should work out. So let's see. Well, here, I could test it back here. So let's go stop name parameter. I'm going to edit this parameter, and I'm going to make the current stop Runnymede is the station. And if I do that, you'll see I'll get this circle around Runnymede. Let's make it this like light purple color, maybe make it 40% transparent, and let's give it a darkish border. There we go. So now if we come to our dashboard, we can see a couple of neat things. So if I go like this, what I can do is, if I show this parameter of acceptable distance, and then I hate sliders too, I'm going to make this a type in, but you'll notice it jumped up anyway. So if I went, what if it was a kilometer? Then we'd get that. And what if it was 500? It would get that. And then what we could do is, because I think one of the most powerful features in Tableau for sure for building these applications is the ability to do actions on the dashboard. So we're going to change the parameter. Then when they click on the sheet, we're going to fill the stop name parameter with stop name when they click on it. So this is going to set that parameter. We want it to be more visual and direct, right? So if we were to click on Dundas West, we'll see it draws that circle. And then if I went to 750, it's going to draw that circle bigger. So, I mean, already that's pretty helpful. We're lassoing things in. But what if we wanted to count that for them, right? And also let them know, maybe for these ones who are just outside it, how far away they are. Those could be interesting things. Again, it's how far as the crow flies, but if you're walking, it's pretty close, right? So 2 more things, and then I'll be done my demo. But again, hopefully it's going to be fun with maps for everyone. I'm going to come back here, and the first thing I'm going to do is, remember we used intersects as a join. You can also use intersects as a calculation. So what I can do is I could create a calculated field called count intersect. Again, we could call it count Airbnbs, whatever, around the thing. And then basically it's intersects our selected subway stop and then our Airbnb location. So this would return true, right, if that buffer around the selected subway stop location, is that the buffered one? Whoops. This is the problem when you do it quick. So the buffered subway stop location, so the bigger one, if that intersects with an Airbnb location, this would return a true. So to get a count, we could go sum, if that, then 1, else 0, end. So basically what this is saying is if this is true, then add 1 more up, else give me a 0. So this is going to be our count Airbnbs. We could put this on our label, right? Didn't want on that one though. Be better on this label, count Airbnbs. Let's put it on this label so it's only on the one selected. And then I'm gonna get kind of obnoxious with the size of it and make it white and bold. So now you'll see a couple of cool things about this. So now they know that if they picked that subway station, which is, say they picked Hyde Park Station, again, I'd have to clean that up a little bit. They get 91 Airbnbs they could pick from. And again, it's dynamic. So if I made this 500, it's going to drop the number down. And if I said, you know, I want an entire room, I don't want a private or shared room, then the number drops to 47. So it's dynamic to what's on the viz, what it's going to count up, because it's only going to count up what's on the viz. So the last thing I wanted to show is, say they went, well, this one's awfully close, I wonder how far it is. Well, Tableau also knows distance, right? We could also draw lines and everything in the interest of time, but I just wanted to show you one last thing, which is, let's do a calculated field called distance from subway stop. It's really the selected subway stop, but and then what we're going to do is one more geospatial calculation, which is distance from our selected subway station, not the buffer anymore, and our Airbnb location, and we want that in meters, right? And then so we got our distance from subway. Now we want to go to our Airbnb location and take this distance from subway. I'm going to put it on tooltip, and I'm going to go into my tooltip, and I'm going to go, again, we would want to put a lot more in this tooltip, meters from, and then I could put that in even, because remember the parameter is got whichever one is currently selected, right? Station. So now if I go back into this, it should work that if I look out here, I should get, that is, why did that not work? The things that work earlier, distance did, anyway, if I come back to this one, did I do that from the wrong one? Distance from subway is the selected subway station and Airbnb location. Is it subjects? I don't think that's the right one. Yeah. Anyway, I'd have to go back, and I'm doing something blindingly obvious wrong there. But oh, sorry. I know. My bad. Sorry. So what I have to do, just trying to rush to get, I got 2 minutes left. What I have to do here is I have to come down here. This is actually what I want to do, is I want to create also a parameter, because it doesn't know what subway stop it is, right? So I'm going to create one for the ID, which we have on here, I think. So let's make sure we have ID on detail. And then what we're going to do is, so we created a parameter for that as well. And then what I want to do is, if I've got selected Airbnb state, so I got selected subway stop location. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to go edit it. I'm going to edit this calculation, and it's going to be right one. So selected subway station. I'm going to duplicate this just for speed. I'm going to edit this one, and then well, this is selected Airbnb, and it's going to be if ID parameter equals ID. So in other words, if I click on it and equals the Airbnb, then what I want is I want that Airbnb location. So this will be our selected Airbnb location. So now what we want is the distance calculation to be at the distance calculation. We want the selected subway station and the selected Airbnb in meters. And then what we need to do is we're going to add another one, but now we want it just on highlight, right? So I'm just going to quickly go like this. And again, we're going to have another parameter action, which again, if I had time, I would label. This one's going to work on hover, and I'm going to set ID based on ID. So now what should happen is when I hover, it should set that one. Again, if I picked it right, you see it's getting closer, that it's supposed to calculate the difference between whichever the selected subway stop location is and that one. Again, we could, I don't want to sit here while everyone debugs it, but if we have time, I'm happy to take questions, but that's it. What I want to show was just, it's very easy in Tableau now. This would not have been easy 2 years ago or 3 years ago to take data that's geospatial, has got nothing to relate it other than long locations, and you can take it and turn it into an actual product that you could, in an actual almost analytical application, let people interact with it and do their own geospatial analysis. And this one example of this might be helping people pick an Airbnb. So I'm happy to take questions, or we could wrap it up too, of course.
Ojo, I think you had a question. Did you want to ask it live, or I think you can unmute if you wanted to ask it.
Great presentation, Kirk. No, I was just wondering if we could expose the parameters to, and then eventually there was a lot of parameter work out there. So thank you. Not a question, just a curiosity that if we could use that 500, 1500 that we did to join as a parameter as well. But I see where we went with the final solution product. So great work. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Well, that sounds like no. Great presentation.
So everybody here. I mean, if you have any questions later on, Kirk's on social media, so just starting to generate ideas for sure, and show people the possibilities. So hopefully you can take something away from it, and think of how you can apply it to your own work for sure. But Kirk's on social media. If you have any questions later on, feel free to reach out. You can catch him on Twitter or LinkedIn. So so thanks everybody for coming. We happy to get together with everybody, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, thank you for organizing it, Candy.
Oh, thanks.
And
thanks,
I'll just
everyone.
say that I'll just say that in Toronto we'll be having our next session in the fall, late September, early October. It will actually be an in-person event at the Tableau offices in Toronto.
Yeah, and when's your next one, Fraser, in Edmonton?
We will probably look at late August, September. The tough thing is going back to school, and there's always that long weekend in the middle of that. So we'll try to either do it before kids go back to school or a couple weeks after, so that we're not conflicting with that kind of schedule.
Understood.
But
for
looking
sure.
forward to it. Yeah.
Awesome. So keep an eye out for us, and on social media we'll try to let you guys know as much as possible when we have another event coming for you.
Great. I think if you sign up for the event on Bevy, you're also subscribed to the group. But if not, there's lots of user groups that are virtual as well that you can sign up for, like the analytics tug. I think they're pretty consistent about meeting on a monthly basis. So I always recommend our team that one's really good because they show lots of kind of bleeding edge stuff in terms of doing visualizations, and it's a good one, easy to attend.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It won the Vizzy this year too, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for the best tug. Yep. So for good reason. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.